fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going in the outside, both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up to him!
Oh my God! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get involved!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go!
Oh no!
That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my God!
God, what?
Are you spending a lot of time looking for setups and struggling for faster lap times? Are you tired of searching online for answers? Would you like to get setups, analysis and tutorials from some of the best sim racers in the world like Ralph Alla, Mitchell de Jong, Martin Krunker, Josh Rogers and many more? If so, virtualracingschool.com is the answer you've been looking for. VRS data packs provide hot laps from our professional coaches for you to analyse and replicate. They provide tutorials that walk you through the fastest laps and what the pros did to achieve the best times. And they provide the setups you need to ensure your car is competitive in both oval and road racing. If you're ready to get faster and reach more podiums sooner than later, just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a free account today.
You all know this track like the back of your hand sometimes when you've seen this time and time again on television sets, morning, noon and night. This is Mount Panorama, Bathurst. This is a circuit that does not need any introduction because we all know how this track goes. It's as difficult as they come along. It is going to be one of the most treacherous circuits on the calendar. And I'm sure that anyone who sets foot around this place knows the very real risk of a race going awry. But for your Roadster Rumble tonight, it is one where everyone isn't really on the same playing field. They know what they need to do. They know what they've got to try and chase down. Today is the time and place. I'm Jake Sperry, Cam Dance, along with me for the ride today. We take ourselves through this fifth round of a championship, which is looking more and more like a foregone reality at this point in time. And Cam, you know, Mount Panorama Bathurst, we don't often get the opportunity to say it, but especially with MX-5s, this is going to be a technical circuit. This is going to be a challenge. That mountain section is going to be a wait, a proper wait for a minute, minute and a half as they get themselves to the two straights for overtaking opportunities.
Yeah, absolutely. And setting yourself up for that big run down those straights and having the draft for those straights as well over the top of the mountain is going to be absolutely critical, as well as the bottom as well. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. Obviously, there's going to be some very, very big draft trains the whole way up Mountain Straight, the whole way down Conrod Straight, and some very, very, I'd say, ambitious moves on the final laps. That's for sure.
Those ambitious moves are going to come into play. Two races tonight of 30 minutes long. It's going to be 12 laps each way. So there will be that element of focus as they look to try and get themselves around this place. They know they'll have to pit on one of the two races. So when they decide to make those stops, it's going to be up to them over the course of what they've got. And when they pit, they'll have to pit for two tyres as they go around as well. And qualifying as well. And when they choose to take that stop, should be interesting. Expect maybe the front runners, Cam, to go at the start of race 2 to go and make that stop because track position is going to be key.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's going to be very, very key to making sure you make that pit stop at the right moment. You're not going to be wanting left touting out to dry when everybody else is going to be in a nice big draft train, that's for sure. So it'll be very, very fascinating to see what sort of pit strategies we might see, whether we see undercuts, overcuts. Regardless, it's going to be a very, very exciting night of racing. And the championship as well, looking very, very exciting as well. Sonny Canchin still with a very strong hold on the championship at the moment with an 80 or nearly an 80-point lead over Lee Harrison, but it gets very, very close the further back you look, especially between 5th and 10th as well.
It's a very big gap. It's a two-horse championship right now between Canchin and Harrison. There's not much more that you can say in terms of who's going to be fighting for top honours then. By that respect, we will be keeping a close focus as things go on. AM category as well, starting to be a little bit of a runaway on top of that. Mark Foster has had some really good performances, Cam, as of late. And that's why he's been searching his way up through the order.
Yeah, absolutely. He has had really, really good runs in the recent few rounds. Has Mark Foster, and he's put himself in a very good spot in the championship as a result of that. Neil McKenzie's been there thereabouts, but just hasn't quite been able to get the strong results that Mark has. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see what's going to happen. But further back, it is still all for playing as well. So it's all about gaining points at this stage, and especially around this track where risk versus reward is a very, very big thing.
It very much is. As there goes the 26 machine of Lee Harrison. Up then towards turn 2. Out on circuit, the tough right-hander up the hill. And you're always trying to make sure that you're carrying as much speed as possible. This is where you start building up a lap here in the Simworx Extreme Racing Car. Up now through the cutting section and over towards this next part of track. You can see really trying to minimize how much movement of the car there is, taking that very shallow line going through turn 5 and up over the mount and over towards the various parkside corners, Mecca Great section coming up as well. And really this is all about just keeping the car nice and straight, nice and pointed. Got a lot of room for maneuverability in these MX-5s.
Yeah, you certainly do. The track very, very wide in these cars for the specific reason of that you're not carrying the sort of pace you might do in something like a GT3 or an open wheeler or a V8 supercar, for example. So you're able to maneuver through the top of the mountain very, very easily, and you don't have to use a lot of input as a result as well, because of the fact that the speeds you're carrying and the amount of grip you've got compared to that is quite high. So it's very, very easy to get around here, but it's also very easy to make a mistake still. So you still have to be on your heels and making sure you're making all the correct moves over the top of the mountain. And so far, Lee Harrison has done all that all the way over the top of the mountain, and it's looking like it's going to be a pretty decent lap heading down Conrad.
Certainly will. His wing mirror was falling off a little bit though as Glenn Wood makes his drive and tries to make sure that he gets the run. And this is something else as well. Street circuit, of course, walls incredibly close. New damage model. It's going to mean that any wrong move from anywhere in the pack, really, Cam, is going to cause a multi-car pile-up somewhere down the road.
Yeah, absolutely. One small mistake from someone and it's going to bottleneck pretty much the entire field. And worst case scenario, it's going to cause a massive pile-up somewhere. And we've seen numerous times over the years at this track, it usually happens at those very, very tight sections where drivers just get a little bit too ambitious, trying to go side by side. And as a result, it ends in tears. The likes of the cutting, the likes of Forest Elbow, the likes of the Dipper, all very, very possible opportunities to overtake, but very, very difficult, and usually don't pay off in the end. So we'll have to wait and see what's going to happen, but hopefully not too much damage. Bill is going to be out there today.
Sonny Kanchin is top of the times right now and is so by a large margin. It is nearly 0.4 of a second. You can see 0.336 the margin to Tiny Venables currently in second. Brad Ryan just moving up now as third fastest at this point in time. So you really are seeing that the drivers that have the pace are already going out there, already finding the results that they want in the opening lap of qualifying. And how important is it, Cam, to get that banker lap down first and foremost?
Yeah, it's very, very important, especially around here where you've got, and especially in this sort of a situation where you've got a huge number of drivers on the grid. So making your way through that field is going to be very, very difficult, especially with the fact that some of the time you're not actually going to be able to make any moves over the top of the mountain or anything like that. So you've really got to make sure you've got at least a banker lap, and then you can put it all on the line and try and see if you can nail a PB or even purple sectors and put yourself on pole for that second one. So far, most of the drivers have got their first lap in at least, but there is a few that's still outlying and yet to set a time.
Yeah, a few out there haven't necessarily put everything together. Now here's Aaron Oliver on Conrad, making that charge down to the fastest corner in Australian sim racing today, which is the Chase. And through the small kink right, carrying all that momentum, looking for your braking marker, and then descending onto those brakes. This left-right chicane is going to be a prime place to see overtaking happen under the Armorall Bridge and back down the hill again as that final corner approaches of Murray's. And on the brakes, trying to take as much of the corner as possible. Nice and neat as the charges for the line go. And not too much of an improvement there from Aaron Oliver. Remains 6th fastest as the likes of Todd George goes quicker at this point in time. And everyone starts searching around. Lee Harrison can only manage P7 with his effort, but I'm sure that the race is going to be pretty much one of those out there where you are going to be seeing a number of drivers making their way through the field and picking and choosing their moments, Cam.
Yeah, absolutely. He's going to be trying his best here as Brenton Bull to try and set a decent lap here. He hasn't had a really all that great run at this stage, only sitting 17th in the order, which isn't too bad, but he's still got a lot of cars he's going to have to pass off the start if he's going to want to move on forward. But coming up through the cutting, looking reasonably sharp, not quite all the way to the inside wall, but looking very, very decent nevertheless.
Yeah, looking decent, but the question will be, will he have enough time to get back across the line and finish the lap? A minute 14 on the clock looks a little unlikely at this position in time. And it is a race against the clock around this place, Cam. It is a 2.5 minute lap. If you do set out a little bit too late, give yourself maybe not enough time, you might be out of time for that second lap, which could be massive.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing as well is, if you do get that first out lap wrong, or that first lap indeed wrong, and find yourself in the wall, you pretty much have that entire session over, because the likelihood that you're going to get back around and get that secondary lap in is very, very unlikely, with the fact that you're going to be spending another 2.5 minutes trying to get back to the finish line. So it's very, very critical that you don't make any mistakes around here on your first lap, or even your out lap for that matter. So it certainly seems to have caught a few people out here at the moment, but possibly a few drivers just opting to start from the back for safety purposes.
Well, the likes there of Lucas Stasi has already put the laps in on the board, so will not go any quicker. It's a big race for Brandon McMillan to get to the line, Jamie Willits as well. And it is a hard count on the clock, so if they don't make it, as the checkered flag comes out then in session, Jamie Willits will not improve on that time. So as the grid goes, Sonny Kanchin will have pole position, absolutely decimating the field in qualifying, with Tiny Venables in second and Brad Ryan in third position. Todd George will start from fourth, with Tom Huggan in fifth and Aaron Oliver in P number 6. Lee Harrison has work to do. He starts from 7th with Steve McMahon in 8th, Glenwood 9th, and Nick Wood rounding out the top 10.
Then you have the first AM driver and Simon Joel Smith starting just outside the top 10 in 11th, with Caleb Patterson just beside him on row 6. Row 7 is going to be Moz Moroz and Damien Seeger, with Wayne Losh and Lucas Mikulev rounding out the 8th row of the grid. Row 9 going to be Brenton Bull and Adam Marinovich, and then the rest behind are going to be looking very, very close to try and move forward.
Yep, you can see the likes of Ashley Norman's way down the order. Jesse White-Carrick down there in the 12th row of the grid. We cycle on back. The likes of Joel Proctor's also down the order a little bit. You got there Philip Paradiso, Tony Vaselis, Anthony Connors down there in P number 30 at this point in time as we cycle on back. Everybody knows it's a long race. It's a lot of opportunities there. Ben Snell hasn't put a lap time in on the books going back there. Brody Cook neither, so they've got a lot of work to do over the course of 24 laps of racing tonight to get themselves in position. 48 drivers here today. You can see they really do stack back, these 48, and they are really looking for opportunities. It's going to be a nice start for number 59. They know they've got that run towards Hell's Corner, and how they manage to get themselves there is going to be the real question. Who's got what it takes? Kanchin has been on a run of form, which has been nigh on unstoppable from the field so far. And this could be the one result that they know is needed in the back pocket. There's the green flag, and we are underway then for racing at Mount Panorama. Kanchin, of course, with a nice clean start. Expect there to be not too much side by side as they run towards the opening corners here. Todd George having to fight a little bit there with the likes of Tom Huggan and Aaron Oliver. But someone's going to go immediately into the fence. That's Caleb Patterson. Race over already.
Yeah, and another one in the background as well. I think that might have been Moz Moroz in the wall on the inside as well. So a few victims being claimed, unfortunately, early on in the proceedings.
a few victories early on, and the last thing that anyone wanted to see as they made the charges through the opening corner, but up the hill into towards turn number 2. Kanchan already under pressure here from Tiny Venables, who goes to the outside on the run up to the cutting, which is a very difficult place to get it done even at the best of times, and so it has to stay in line. And the focus going to be now about what you can do as the gap has opened up to Simon Joel Smith. So the train goes to Nick Wood. It's a 10-car pack at the front of this group, and they know that they are following as closely as they can over this mountain.
Yeah, they're trying their best to follow as close as they can. They're also trying not to put it in the wall, with the fact they're being blindsided as well as to what's just up in front of them, being right tucked up behind the cars ahead, especially if you're further back in the field where you've got a massive train that you've got to try and work out where everybody's putting themselves, and you don't want to end up in a possible incident if one of the cars ahead does stick it in the wall. So you've got to be very, very careful here. But so far, everybody at the front being very, very smart, very, very safe as well. No real major incidents of any sort from these top 10.
Exactly, and the key is they go through the Forest Elbow, that they want to give themselves as much room as they can. There is Simon Joel Smith trying to get as good a run as possible now. Aaron Oliver and Lee Harrison are going to have to really work, as two of the group at the front. Venables right there, a little bit of blinking's not going to be helping too much out there with Kanchan. Moves over to the right-hand side, and Venables now moves into the race lead and decides he wants to go and take a little bit of time out there at the front of the pack. No guarantees that it will work out in the long run, but if there is any time to go out there, make something happen, get it all done early, and the focus is there. Bit of side-by-side further back though, as Vaselis and Connors start fighting, maybe Paradiso as well just in front, but there goes the move, and that is a nice position there being gained. Now Ferguson wanted to get in as well.
Yeah, certainly all trying their best to try and make something happen. Is into the lane, the first car out of the lot, Ben Snell deciding to play it safe and just get that pit stop out of the way in race 1 on lap 1. That's a very committed entry into pit lane. I do wonder if he maybe would have sped on the way in and might just got away with that, but we'll wait and see what's going to happen. Meanwhile, at the front of the field, it's nose to tail with some side-by-side as well, for good measure, with Aaron Oliver having to duke it out with Todd George, and also having Tom Huggin for company as they head up Mountain Straight on the way into Griffin's Bend. Tom George going to sweep around the outside, but Aaron Oliver going to stick his nose in up the inside, and he's going to be on the outside for the following corner at the cutting. Can he hold it around the outside? We'll wait and see as they go 2 by 2 on the way in, but he decides to back out of it and think better of it. All of this contact between the two of them. George goes wide, keeps it out of the wall though. Very, very lucky from both of them.
Huggin as well, very fortunate not to get caught up in all of it, and this is what happens when you start racing there. A little bit of contact can go a long way at the mountain, and by that long way, as they start tripping over each other. Kanchan now back in the lead, by the way. They all now trip over each other on the mountain, and they've dropped the gap to Todd George, and George has dropped the gap to Lee Harrison, so they've got a lot of work to do to get themselves back into play. Someone's going to be running wide in the background. Oh, sorry, just behind them, that was Steve McMahon in a little bit of trouble, but there are the leaders as they take the dip, and that is now effectively your second train that descends down the hill. So troubles in the early stages. This group's going to go back now to Joel Proctor, and with any little bit of damage, it's going to really affect them on the straight line, and straight line is more important here than most places.
Yeah, absolutely. It's almost somewhat similar to Monza, I guess you could say, with the fact that you got to have a massive focus on straight line speed. You don't want to be losing any top end at all. But as you can see, Aaron Oliver coming under attack from behind with side by side just ahead. Nick Wood and Aaron Oliver all battling it out. Nick Wood's going to get on by Aaron Oliver, and you can see there they're all swamping Aaron on the way down Conrad, and Mikulev makes a position as well. So that front end damage not helping Aaron Oliver at all.
No, not at all, and it shows, it really does. You can see 4 or 5 cars have already gone through in that group, and some more takers. Todd George into the pits, Tom Huggin also deciding to dive. Nick Wood will also go for it. So race 1, you're seeing a couple drivers thinking, you know what, this might be us. We've got a bit of damage, we've got a bit of something, it's getting a bit hectic. Want to make some space. If more people do, oh, spin on the front stretch. Big spin on the front stretch. 1, 2, 3 cars involved.
Stasi and Craig, 2 of those cars involved in that one. Both in the wall are not quite sure who the car was spinning, but it's caused a massive pile-up as a result of what's gone on there. It was Mark Foster that caused it as well.
So that is the AM category leader getting caught up in all of it. And as we take a look, 34 finding wall, and that was the way the issue happened. Just nowhere to go, trying to drive a damaged car on the middle of the road, nowhere to really pull it off safely. And there on the virtual racing score replay, that's how quickly trouble can be found. Venables back to the front of the field though. He's taken the lead away from Sonny Katchin on the mountain straight. And those front four in this race, you've got Venables, Katchin, Ryan and Harrison. They've been the four drivers so far this season really, Cam, who have been the standout highlight drivers.
Yeah, absolutely. They've all been near the front of the field or there or thereabouts, winning races on podiums and also battling hard for the lead, giving Sonny Katchin a real good run for his money all season long so far. And Brad Ryan, probably one of those drivers who's new to the series as well and has managed to step up to the plate and challenge Sonny Katchin as well. Probably, I'd say, one of the more competitive drivers as well to challenge him as well. So it's been very, very interesting to see these top four all battle it out all season long and see who's taking it to Sonny Katchin.
Yeah, and Lee Harrison having a few issues there on the back of that group, which will not be the most exciting for him as he goes forward. Tiny Venables, though, in control as they descend here on Conrod. They know that they are playing the game quite patiently. They don't have to do too much, as you can see a little bit of battling, though, over at the Forest Elbow. You can talk about how positions matter. That is the likes of McCulloch and Seddon fighting out there for positions. Shane Seddon, the rookie. Wayne McCulloch there, Dave Gogol, all there. Look at Sonny Katchin right up behind Tiny Venables and not deciding that it's going to be rash and making a move, but going when he knows he can guarantee it, which should be the run out here of turn number 1, Hell's Corner, and up the mountain straight. Now, Cam, the question's going to be, why is the mountain straight more popular so far today than Conrod has?
It's a very, very good question. Probably one I can't really answer, to be honest, although the fact it's uphill probably does aid in the fact that the draft is a lot more powerful, makes it easier to get a run as well. But at the same time, Conrod is much longer and it's also very, very high speed. But yeah, it seems to be very, very popular at Mount Straight at the moment, as Sonny Katchin does indeed take the lead as we predicted. So swap position for the lead, but also still battling going on further back in the field as well.
Yeah, it's a great pack here. Ashley Norman, Damien Seeger, Loshie's in here, Wayne Losh and Matt Van Egmond, who is second best AM at the moment in this race. Simon Joel Smith, currently the best AM out there at the moment. And really what you can say is that you're going to see these small packs forming as here goes the 55 down the inside and a massive, massive smash up there. And that was not brilliant. Graham Ellis was making the run, the rookie down the inside of Ben Ferguson, and Ferguson's race all but over just like that. A bit of contact in from behind did not help matters there from Darren Sharp.
Yeah, it certainly did not, and Darren Sharp probably the driver who's mainly at fault at that as a result, because the contact hadn't happened. Probably would have been okay, would have been Ben Ferguson, because the contact with Graham Ellis would have happened, and that contact with Ellis really did just fire him straight to the wall as a result of clipping that front wheel. So we'll have a look on the virtual racing score replay and actually properly dissect it. But yeah, really, really unfortunate for Ferguson there, and not what he would have wanted at all.
No, not at all. Now here's how easily, when you're pushing up against someone and bump drafting down the straight, that you have to be alert. So he lifts off initially, they hit the brakes, and then as he goes through, he just doesn't cover enough, and there's the contact, and there's nothing you can really do there at that point. You effectively leave yourself as a passenger, and a passenger you will say at that point. So already dramas in the early goings, but we're about 4 laps of the 12 through here in this first race of 2. And there is Venables again, just sitting there, quietly waiting for that chance to unfurl itself. Brad Ryan, Lee Harrison, and Lucas Mikulev now deciding from 6th position to take now as the time to dive in, get the pit stop out of the way. Don't need to worry about it for race 2. And this is going to be what's quite interesting here. A lot of drivers prioritising one race over the other. And if they make a big enough gap, you know, you might see some of the leaders decide to make that stop, but it is a slow lane. It's only 50 Ks that you can go down.
Yeah, certainly. It's a very, very slow lane with it being a 50-kilometre speed limit, reduced from what was formerly 72 kilometres an hour a few years ago. So it's a very, very slow and tedious trip down the lane to get that service done. And as a result, you probably don't want to be doing it if you're out the front. You want to be trying to keep that track position and just trying to get a good result and then suffer in the second race. So very, very interesting strategies coming out of the woodwork from various different drivers deciding to pit in race 1 versus race 2.
It is, and already, you know, those drivers who have decided to make those pit stops, you know, they're only on the fringes of the top 20 right now, so they haven't lost a million positions by making the determined calls out there on track. This third group technically out there: Ashley Norman, Damien Seeger, Wayne Losh, Matt Van Egmond, and they're just running their own race at this point in time. They know that they are too far away from the race win, but look at this as they warm up and fight up at the cutting corner. As Dave Gogol here, the rookie, who's going to find himself on the wrong side of the train. There's all the quick guys. That's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 4, that's 5 of them all going through. Wants absolutely nothing to do with those drivers flying through right now.
And it's going to even let Mikulev on through nearly in the wall at Metal Grape, manages to just hold it around the outside, so he gets right out of it, doesn't want anything to do with these drivers, like you said, just trying to run his own race, trying to be a little bit safe, trying to avoid any possible carnage that might ensue ahead of him up the road. But so far, everybody knows the tale in this little group, and it certainly is looking very, very spicy, that's for sure.
Certainly is, and they know that it's a long road ahead, and that anything they can do and will do, they will be able to use later on, and that is the focus for them. Don't get yourself in trouble now, otherwise your race is going to be a little bit more fraught with the dangers, as the halfway lap of the race will soon start for these drivers. So, at least for the time being, here comes a little look though at the chase, as Holmes and Rodkin decide they want a bit of a fight. Darren Sharp there with Bard Rodkin. They almost lean on each other there as they get out to the exit of the corner. And now you start to see Rodkin decide to take that call, dive down into the pits, get out of the way of a very hectic group of cars.
Yeah, not a bad call at all to make that move to bring it down onto the lane and get the pit stop out of the way. With the pack he was in, it looked very, very intense, and one that you probably don't want to end up in, especially if something is going to end up going awry. So not a silly move there from Rodkin to bring it down onto the lane and get that pit stop out of the way. Meanwhile, the secondary pack that was behind him is still going strong, still has Aaron Oliver and a few others all in and amongst it, still trying to work their way forward and make something happen and recover from their pit stops as well. So we'll see what's going to happen here. Looks like everybody's still going to be single file on the way up Mountain Straight, and as I say that, Glenn Wood pokes his nose out towards the inside, and he's going to get up the inside of Tom Huggins. Huggins, though, going to try and hold it right around the outside, will sweeps right out to the outside curb, and is going to leave himself vulnerable because there's going to be a move incoming from Aaron Oliver behind. He's also lost place to Nick Wood as well, so Wood gains a position out of that, and as a result, Tom Huggins loses 2.
Yeah, that's what happens when you wash out at turn 2. Very, very tough and committed corner. So if you get yourself in the wrong place, you can so easily drop the couple positions that matter in the long run over the course of a race like this. And, you know, this group is really trying to keep itself together here, find itself pace. It's 40 seconds off of the race lead at this point in time. And speaking of that race lead, it is starting to get very, very interesting right now how these groups have formed. We haven't seen too much changing of positions at the front. It's been very much hold your station, try and stay in range as Aaron Oliver descends down the hill. And now it's Lachlan Phillips who finds himself in the wrong point. But there's Brad Ryan in 3rd position. Now, if you're 3rd, if you're 4th here, the questions now are starting to be asked. Are you staying there for your points and looking to try and just hold on and do your pit stop in race 2? Or are you going to try and force out as much as you can? They know they can only pit between laps 1 and 10, so it's not like you can pit on the last lap and get your pit stop out the way.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got a window that they've got to hit, and at the same time, you're trying to get points, as we're seeing a move here from Glenn Wood. He's managed to get ahead of Lachlan Phillips. Phillips is going to just hold on a little bit of a bump from behind from Nick Wood, as well as Aaron Oliver trying to get around the outside of Tom Huggan, and he's going to end up doing that as we get a virtual racing school replay of what was a little bit of battling going on the way down at Conrod Straight, and you can see how effective that draft is, just sucking right up behind a little bit of contact as well between the 63 of Tom Huggan, and I think that was Stephen McMahon as well. So all going off between those guys at the moment, and surely something is going to happen sooner or later.
Something's got to give, you'd feel, and there are not many places where you can relinquish those sorts of battles. And as they charge up through once again, Oliver, Phillips, Wood, they've allowed Glenn Wood to get away, so they are starting to leave those gaps out and give themselves a little bit of room. And there's the contact, 117 in trouble in the wall. Lachlan Phillips was dicing it with danger, racing with those quicker drivers, not letting them go away. And sometimes that is the important lesson. You pick and choose your battles.
Yeah, absolutely right. You pick and choose your pedals, but at the same time, you do end up possibly getting forced into sometimes. So unfortunately, that one has not ended the way that he will have hoped, and as a result, he's lost a number of positions out of that. But on for the lead, Tame Venables actually pushing Sonny Canchin on the way down Conrod Straight. They've got a little bit of lap traffic not too far up the road as well, so they've got to be a little bit careful. But you can see how physically close Tame Venables is to that back bump of Sonny Canchin, pretty much right inside of it as they head on down towards the chase. Brad Ryan thought about a move up the inside on Venables, but no dice there and no move made in the end. And Harrison still continuing to just be patient and sit in behind. He knows he doesn't have to do anything silly or make any moves at this stage, as there's still plenty of time to make moves. But at the same time, with only 5 laps to go, they're going to have to start thinking about it.
Yeah, they've got 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 if they want to, firstly, make those moves. And here comes Venables over to the inside, and Canchin letting off very early in towards 1, not wanting to make anything happen, but he will now get the drive all the way up the hill. But Brad Ryan sensing a little bit of vulnerability here, as the 117's back in the wall again, trying to get that car home. Lachlan Phillips, there's 2 fast repairs, so there is emphasis on if you can get it home. It's there, but look at the leading trio, leading quartet even, as they head up on the mountain straight. Brad Ryan's made a point of it. Get to the inside, Venables running wide. Brad Ryan to the lead, Canchin in second, and now here's something they weren't expecting too much in this race of traffic on the mountain.
Yeah, absolutely. Is Canchin right around the outside, trying to hang it tough. Did hear he might have just clipped the wall on the way through, but so far so good. And Brad Ryan is absolutely checking out a little bit here. He's going to put a car between himself and most of these guys. Harrison just having to squeeze his way on through past the lap traffic of Raimundo, and will manage to get on by safely. But some of them have lost time. Meanwhile, in the lane, a few more cars coming down on in. Holmes and White Carriage coming into the lane to get their pit stop out of the way. So more cars ducking down in the lane as the laps start to tick down, and as we get close to the end of race 1 here.
Yeah, you make that pit stop, you give yourself the room, and the focus then is that race 2 should be a little bit easier. You don't have to focus on that, and the leaders here, you look through, there's about, I'd say, a dozen cars, or maybe about 10 or so now from the front, who haven't made their pit stop for both races. And it's that element of, is it worth it? Are we going to find what you need? And there's the battle between Glenn Wood and Nick Wood. So a battle of the 2 Woods here as they now descend at Brook Skyline and down the hill through the vicious lefts and rights here of this public road.
Ducking and diving all the way down at the mountain, trying to use the absolute maximum amount of track they can without putting it in the concrete to try and keep up with those ahead. Nick Wood doing a very, very good job and is right on the tail of Glenn Wood now as they head out of Forest Elbow and down towards Conrod Straight and the chase. And it's probably likely that a move is going to happen between those two on the way down towards the end of the straight. They've got Terry Knowles just in front of them as well, so it's going to be a move from Glenwood at least on him. Nick Wood's going to use the draft of both of them as they head down towards the chase. He's going to be able to get the job done. Not quite going to be close enough, but Glenwood is at least going to gain a position, so he's going to be at least happy, and all the drivers getting on by as Knowles just letting them on by.
Oh, and a horrible rejoin just in front of Terry Knowles from Steve McMahon, who made the mistake. Simon Smith is in the pit. So too is Lachlan Phillips, who's finally got that. So it was interesting to see where Simon Joel Smith will come out in all of this. Should be a little ways behind the groups that's going through. But the big key is that he finally gets off and away. He'll be searching for that green commitment cone, and then he'll be allowed to get up to speed. And he's not going to be a million miles behind the likes of Steve McMahon, Lucas Micallef and Ben Snell. So this is some good strategy being applied at this point in time. And it is very key that the top four haven't made pit stops, haven't needed to just yet, but you can see a bit of side-by-side now up the mountain straight as Nick Wood also wants to try and have a little look as well. Simon Joel Smith and Lucas Micallef then in towards the right of two, holding each other pretty much to standard.
Yeah, holding each other right up and trying their best to try and make positions up and past each other. Is it right on the tail at the moment of Glenwood? It is Nick Wood. So the two Woods currently battling it out on the way up the mountain. Nick Wood not really able to make anything happen at this stage with how tight it is and how committed it is over the top of the mountain, but he is very, very close, and all it's going to take really is for one mistake for Glenwood to possibly have both of these drivers out of this race. So he has to be a little bit careful that nothing untoward happens in front of him, and that he doesn't get involved in anything that happens in front of him as well. So Nick Wood just backing off a little bit out of McPhillamy and on the way down the dipper, trying to give himself a little bit of buffering room, but he's also got Aaron Oliver and Tom Hagen for company, so no real ability to let off here, and he really has to keep on pushing if he wants to keep up with Glenwood, who's built a nice little gap here. But at the front of the field, Tame Venables putting Lee Harrison under pressure on the way down towards Murray's corner, and Lee Harrison going to just hold on to the position, but Venables want to get a little bit of a hurry up here as they've just crossed the line and they're going to get 3 laps to go.
They are, and this is the issue they've got. They start fighting, and if you can't make a move happen, you're going to give some gap. And the last thing you want to do is give some gap, and the 141 car of Ben Snell looking very second-hand. Looks like there's been an issue somewhere on the mountain for him. And what looked very promising after pitting on lap 1 has effectively fallen away. We'll probably have to make another pit stop.
Yeah, something is very, very wrong with Snell's car at the moment. Not quite sure what he did. He must have hit the wall at the top of the mountain somewhere or something like that, but not entirely sure. But either way, he's going to have to bring it down onto the lane again, and that's really going to hurt him in this race 1 result and really drop him down the order as well.
Yes, and that's where we start seeing just how easily races like these go very awry. The good news is 2 fast repairs, so we'll be able to get back out there and attacking the lap, or what little does remain of them. And here is the front 4. Knowing with 3 laps to go, this will be the last chance they have at the end of this lap to come in and make a stop, as there's another little look then being sorted out as they run up the hill and try and get as much as they possibly can. Tom Huggan and co there, Job Proctor and Simon Smith also in a bit of a scrap as well behind Todd George, Lucas Micallef there. And that will be George going ahead of Micallef there. Bit of team orders then from the 2 teammates.
Yeah, the 2 teammates working together there to try and not hold each other up at all at the moment. That's the last thing they're going to want to do. Even if there is no team orders, they probably don't want to be holding each other up, so they're just going to try and work together here. As that's a car in the wall, unfortunately, at Griffin's Bed. Greg Holmes has come to blows with that. Looks like Tony Vaselis by the looks of it. So something's happened between those two, and we'll grab a virtual racing school replay to find out what has ended up happening between these two, and it might have involved actually a little bit more to it as well.
Well, there's the 777 car. They're pushing into the corner, and you have to say there from Greg, he sort of just turned in there, Cam, as if there was nobody on his inside.
Yeah, he's unfortunately kind of done that to himself there, just turning in on the car on the inside of Tony Versailles, like as if he didn't exist, like you said. So unfortunately, those two ending up in the wall and ending up losing positions as a result of damage. So not probably going to be too happy, especially Versailles, who's not really done anything wrong there. So he's probably going to be the most angry out of the two of them. But it is what it is, and they're going to have to keep on going. Probably going to have to bring it down into the lane if the damage is too severe. But 2 to go this time around, and at the moment that top 4 has not changed. A little bit further back though, and Aaron Oliver has finally made his way on by Glenn Woods, so he's going to move into the top 10 here. But with 2 laps to go, he has to be mindful that he doesn't want to lose that position later on with 2 to go.
Well, there's a couple of keys here in terms of those fights to the top 10 as the 44 machine wants to try and find a move. That's Jamie Willits here, who's got eyes on Brandon McMillan just in front. There are a couple of keys here in terms of strategy. It's about 8 seconds the gap between 9th and 10th positions. Matthew McMillan is one of those drivers that they're trying to get to by the end of the race. And if you think about it from another perspective here, leader of those who have made a pit stop so far is Aaron Oliver in 10th. You know, you're starting 10th. Everyone in front of you's got to make a pit stop. You don't. You know, that is really, really solid for race 2, and that's going to really throw a few things in the books. So those drivers at the front, they know for race 2, they're going to be on the back foot, and they've got a lot of work to do to try and make sure that they get themselves into the right position. Lap and a half to go now, and there is the number 70 of Aaron Oliver chasing along the mountain, fast group behind, knowing that for every intent and purpose, the likes of McMillan is the next chase.
And he's actually built a nice little gap over Glenwood as well. It's just in behind Glenwood. Tom Huggan having a look at the inside at McPhillamy, but didn't quite make it happen. But Brad Ryan currently leading this pack on the way to the white flag. Sonny Canchin tucked up in behind, patiently waiting. Venables 3rd. Lee Harrison still sitting in 4th. He's dropped himself back in behind Venables, knowing that he doesn't want to hold himself up. So this is about to get very, very spicy with a 4-way battle for the win here on this last lap. You'd have to think that Venables or possibly even Harrison, should they position themselves right, are right in the hunt for the win here.
Well, Harrison's been struggling to hold on to this group all race. He knows that he needs to get points on Canchin. He's not going to do so. Sat there in 4th position, just trying to desperately cling on to Tiny Venables, who he himself is trying to cling on. Canchin's got eyes on a victory. Brad Ryan now starting to weave a little bit here. Focus on that serpentine. Moves over to the right-hand side of the circuit. Canchin with a really good run under the Pedders sign. And moving to the outside of the circuit, trying to get this done. Up the hill and towards turn number 2. Not quite a look just yet, but the key's going to be that if you're defending now, you're trying to bring yourselves into play. And Canchin, with such an atrocious run, brings Venables into play, who won't be able to attack here into the cutting.
Yeah, won't quite be able to get a move done here, but it's really backed them all up. Has that 2nd, 3rd, 4th little group now, and it's given the advantage to Brad Ryan, who's got a nice little bit of buffer. But that said, that buffer room is going to disappear once they get to the bottom of Conrod Straight. And with the fact that Sonny Canchin's had some very, very good pace in this thing, it's sure to close up even over the top. So it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what's going to happen here. We're on board with Harrison here, and very, very close, nose to tail at the moment between the lot of them currently. Really no room for error, no room for being conservative at this stage, especially this late in the race with 1 lap to go. As Ryan gets very close to the wall, and so does Sonny Canchin, but they're all going to head down towards the Alba. It's so close. Canchin trying to back them all up, trying to get a run on the way down Conrod.
He's trying. Brad Ryan very nearly threw that away with half a lap to go. He shows how much they're trying to fight for it. And now Canchin's got to really follow. Venables, though, is going to get the run, though. And Canchin here is in trouble. And he drops back into 4th position. And it looks like, for all intents and purposes, he's not got the numbers correct on the fuel. And he is out. He is out as he tries to go through. Here comes Venables to the outside. He's going to overshoot this one and go through the grass. So his race is over. So now, sitting nowhere, it's Lee Harrison's time. He's got a chance of a lunge. but he may just take second. And look at how they've been struggling all on fuel. Harrison starting to blip out then as they round the final corner. It is going to be Brad Ryan who picks it. Harrison in second. Venables will take third, clutching it over the line. So too Kanchin. Shows you how hard they were pushing if they are all going to be out on the gas as they make that run over to the finish.
Very, very close, and Kanchin will be ruining himself a little bit over the fact that he's just lost a possible win, and he's lost a few points to Harrison as well, who's going to get a nice little chunk out of that championship hunt. So he's going to be very, very happy with himself, is Lee Harrison. Damon Seeger not quite going to get Wayne Losh at the line there for the final spot inside the top 5. However, it's on between Nick Wood and McMahon as they head out of the chase down towards Murray's Corner. McMahon not quite going to be close enough for a move by the looks of it. So Nick Wood's just going to hold on behind, though. It's a big lunge from Simon Joel Smith up the inside of the final corner on Van Egmond, but it's not quite going to come the way he will have hoped at the line. He was just going to miss out. Well, he's actually just managed to get it at the line there over Van Egmond.
Well, Van Egmond struggling with fuel, and fuel is the big number. And I'm sure that it's been a very, very strong result. We've still got battles all the way to the end here. Jesse White-Carrick trying to fend off here. Oh, Darren Sharp trying to lunge for the inside. It's not going to happen. And as such, it will be just a case of waiting for the next race to come along in that respect. The leader's over the line, so we can get confirmation then of result. And for number 96, it's an important victory in the grand context. Brad Ryan picking it up, 30 minutes and 20 seconds, winning by 0.7 of a second in the end over Lee Harrison, with Tiny Venables finishing in third as drivers ran out of fuel towards the end. Sonny Kanchin finishing fourth, with fifth going to Wayne Losh, almost half a minute back here of your overall winner, with Damien Seeger in sixth, Ashley Norman seventh, Matthew McMillan, give credit there, finishing in eighth place. And then the first of those who pitted, Glenwood in ninth place, will be very much an eye to look out for in the racing going forward. As you can see here, the rest of the results flying on forward here. 11th for Aaron Oliver. That's pretty good there, Cam.
Yeah, very, very solid drive in the end to be near the front of this field. Well, what's going to be near the front of this field once the top 10 all cycles through and does their pit stop. So he's going to be very, very happy if he can walk away with a victory here. And same with pretty much everybody else behind who's there or thereabouts. And number of drivers also recovering after having some moments during the race, the likes of Ben Snell and a few others who had a bit of a disaster of a start to the race but managed to come back not too badly. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how the second race is going to go, what sort of strategy we're going to see. Are we going to see that top four all stay the set? We'll try and make a little bit of a breakaway to give themselves some breathing room for the second race when the pit stop cycle out, or whether that rest of that group is all going to be right on their tail.
It's always going to be worth keeping an eye out on. You can see as they look down, like Lucas Stasi, Anthony Connors, Matt Seddon, all looking for results in race number 2. And they will line up the way these results go. Likes of Brody Cook finishing down 2 minutes, 26 seconds. A lot of drives are lapped down as well. And Adam Sharp finding a retirement and will not contest the second race overall then, as he decides that enough is enough then for the night, as this now becomes a case of what can you do in terms of strategy. They've not left themselves really, Cam, too much here at the front of the group. They're now going to be fighting for minor points positions, and you feel for Ryan, Harrison, Venables, and Kanchin. They've got to make a gap early, knowing that the likes of the Triple Eight car are a little bit further back and have to make their way through the pack. They can give themselves some time, make the stop, get back out again. They've just got to hope they start tripping over each other and they have a chance to close back in.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very, very critical that those drivers from pretty much 10th on back all work together as best as they can to try and move on forward and try and latch on to that top 4, who are all more than likely going to try and make a breakaway, like you said, for a bit of a gap before they bring it down onto the lane and not lose too many positions and too much time as well. So it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what happens. Obviously, there's a lot of work ahead of those drivers starting just outside the top 10 that have already pitted compared to those around them. But still, it's going to be very, very tough and still plenty of racing that could entail.
Yeah, and everyone is getting themselves sorted. We're going to step aside very, very briefly here at this moment in time. We'll be back with race number 2 after this.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction. He's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Six very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your Simworx Roadster Rumble. 5th round of the championship here from Mount Panorama, Bathurst. And a very interesting opening race where all of the main contenders decided they wanted to go out there and challenge for the win in race 1, leaving their life a little bit more difficult here in race number 2. Haven't really talked about these track conditions here today. Here's Snelsberry, Cam Dance here for the ride. Cam, really, really cold early morning conditions, 7:36 a.m. static at this point in time. That means above anything else, it's cold, and we're expecting it to take about a couple laps to get those tyres up to temperature so that they're not sliding and spinning around.
Yeah, absolutely. Cold tires going to be absolutely lethal for the first few laps here around Bathurst, and especially over the top when you're trying to push as hard as you can. So they've got to be very, very careful over the top for the first few laps, especially with it being a 19-degree track temp. There's the weather conditions on screen, 67 degrees Fahrenheit or 19 degrees centigrade for the air temp, and then 19 degrees as well for the track temp, with easterly 6 mile an hour winds or 10 kilometers an hour, and then not much in the way of humidity as well. It's only 18%, so not too much slipping and sliding going to be going around, but there's still plenty of grip on offer and still very, very cold, so they're going to have to take it easy on the first few laps.
They certainly are, and front 8 drivers all have to make a stop. Pretty much almost everyone else decided to stop in race number 1, so focus is there, and they'll have the hard yards to cover as they try and get themselves through the field, but they know that they are at the whims of the clock to get themselves sorted and ready. But Brad Ryan with control, Lee Harrison second, Tiny Venables in third, and you need a whole heck of a lot to get yourself going forward. There's the green flag. Watch out for Glenn Wood. He's going to be the first of the drivers who haven't pitted then, and he should be inheriting the race lead at some point during this one. But already Lee Harrison trying to drive it through turn 1 at Hell's Corner, and a nice cleaner start this time in comparison to what it was. Everyone making enough of a drive then as they will tackle the mountain for the first time, and already some side-by-sides they go through it, almost 4 wide in the middle.
Jesus, that's very, very busy. Nick Wood, McMahon, Oliver, and including Smith, all in there at the moment, all trying to scrap for the minor positions. It's looking like it's going to be someone's going to give, and in the end, someone does, and Nick Wood is going to be the victorious one out of that one in the end. Steve McMahon going to lose a few positions, but so far, so good. No real major incidents at all. Couple of drivers still scrapping further back in the field, but everybody's made it through the first 2 turns at least.
They certainly have a bit of side-by-side. Aaron Oliver and Matthew McMillan is where the train's starting to fall apart. But at this moment in time, there is your leader, Lee Harrison. Tiny Venables in second. It's Kanchin in third from the pole position. Brad Ryan's back there in 4th place, figuring, okay, I'm going to have to do a lot of fuel saving today if I want to get myself home. But they've got that pit stop. Seeger off the road, followed as well by Ashley Norman, as they go over the top of McPhillamy and through Skylight. That's always very scary. You follow the wheel tracks of the car in front, and you can very easily make a big mistake.
Yeah, you certainly can, as there was one right there, as that was nearly in the wall from the Chicken Up Racing driver as Wood's going to get around Ashley Norman. Is he there? A little bit of side-by-side contact there on the exit of the elbow, and that's going to leave him vulnerable as up the inside is going to go Tom Huggan. He's going to drop alongside Glenwood as they head down Conrod Straight, and Glenwood going to have the advantage of Ashley Norman's draft as well. And don't forget, Aaron Oliver, McMillan and co are all in behind in single file at the moment as well, so they're going to be catching up rather quickly, and these guys fighting ahead is not going to be too promising, especially for the likes of Aaron Oliver, who are going to want to move their way forward. But at the front, it's all going off too, as Sonny Cantor runs a little bit deep on the way into the chase, and he's lost 3 positions out of that.
Well, I don't think he had a choice there, did Sonny Canchin, as top 2 decide to dive into the pits then on lap 1. Going to be Lee Harrison, Tiny Venables. Venables was so committed through the chase that there was nowhere to go for Sonny Canchin as he decided to go through. Also following into the pits then is going to be Damien Seeger. They're going to get their stop out of the way early, bite the bullet, go through the places as much as they can during this portion of the race.
Yeah, absolutely not a silly move to get it done early on, but it's also cost them a little bit of track position as a result, as they're going to have to come through the entire field at this stage to get back to the front, and that's going to be very unlikely, but strategy is what it is, and they've made that call, so it's a bit late now to try and reverse that role. But Brad Ryan looking up the inside of Canchin, not quite going to be close enough to get a move done. Had a look, but still very, very close between these guys, and they haven't quite broken away from the likes of Wayne Losh, Norman and co. So they've still got a lot of work to do if they want to move forward and get a little bit of a gap going, but it's going to be interesting to see when they pit, whether they pit the next lap or whether they pit on the last one.
Micallef trying to have a search, and here's some side-by-sides. The 141 car of Ben Snell goes around Moz Moroz at the cutting and sorts that place up. Matt Van Egmond will be the next car for Ben Snell's charge as they go through, and pretty much every which way you look, it's going to be a case of what can you do, especially for car number 5. Mark Foster, leader of the AM Category Championship, must make something happen in this race if he wants to keep that 78-point gap that he had coming into tonight.
Yeah, and he's got to make up for what happened in race 1 as well, so he's got to bear that in mind with the fact that he didn't have a great race 1 and finished much further down the order than he probably would have liked to have probably started as well, so he'll be trying his best to make something happen here and recover some very, very crucial points from the first race loss.
Yeah, and down the hill they go on lap 2. Another 12-lap race, of course, and they have to pit between laps 1 and 10. Glenwood is the leader of those who do not need to pit in this next race. You've got Huggan there, you've got Oliver there. Ashley Norman needs to come in, Losh needs to come in, Ryan and Canchin side by side now for the race lead as they try and fight it out here. You can see a lot of drivers getting heavy over that inside curve at the chase. Always a very scary curve, that one. It's a very high curve. And Canchin feigning to go into the pits. They're going to get one for it, though. Wayne Losh falls for the dummy.
Yeah, one falls for the dummy at least. So Wayne Losh will bring it down onto the lane and start to get that pit stop procedure out of the way. Nick Wood comes down onto the lane as well to get that one done. So another one onto the lane for this race to get their pit stop completed. We'll see where Losh and Nick Wood come out. Obviously, they were a little bit behind those at the front of the field, but it's going to be very, very fascinating to see what sort of gap they're going to have as Lee Harrison just coming through the final corner. So it's going to be pretty close, I'd say, between these guys. I'd say Harrison's going to have a solid jump on them, but at the front, still very much single file, and Glenwood has actually managed to find himself, as well as Ashley Norman, right on the tail of these top 2 now, and Tom Huggan not too far away from getting onto this train as well.
Well, here's the key. The fact that Nick Wood's coming to the pits, he didn't need to. And that is a mistake to come down in on the lane. So there is your leader, Sonny Canchin. There is the mid-pack, getting absolutely feisty right now as Van Egmond and Snell absolutely pushing his way through the cutting, trying to get by Van Egmond. Not having much luck of it, though, as he tries to manufacture as much as he can from it. But at least for the time being, they know every which way they're looking, including all the way back here to the 43 machine having a fight. This is Tiny Venables trying to get around Brody Cook for placement, and these two will be working hard together. Losh has come out in that group, so too, you would say, this is very important. They've lost contact here. Venables has lost contact, I should say, with Lee Harrison and Nick Wood. So those sorts of drivers will be in a much better position than you'd say quite a lot of others.
Yeah, absolutely right. Very, very critical that those two ahead have actually jumped. Tane Venables made quite a gap as well to Venables behind. So very, very interesting as to how that's all played out and how that's ended up working as well. So Venables probably going to be brewing that a little bit. Harrison going to be very, very happy. He's actually out in clean air, so he's going to have some very, very easy times over the top of the mountain, but he's going to have no draft down and up mountain straight in Conrod. So he's going to have some challenges there, catching the packs ahead, who are going to be certainly fighting very, very hard as Ben Snell fends off another attack from behind. Managed to get that move done on Van Egmond, and Van Egmond also going to lose a place to Moroz if he's not too careful as he goes to the inside to go defend. No, he actually comes down onto the lane, I should say. So that's going to be another one pitting here in another position gain for a number of drivers.
See the massive gap that has formed outside of Aaron Oliver here to Simon Joel Smith, and it's very similar to what we saw earlier on. So now you're starting to see drivers put themselves into position. Here comes a look then from Ashley Norman in the Chicken Up racing car, trying to get past Tom Huggan for position, but Huggan's got the draft, and this is where you sort of bottom out in terms of finding the pass. The wall of air, not having that slipstream doesn't help, but still through the inside it worked. They've left a little bit of a gap now to Glenn Wood, but Wood is the bridge between the divide right now. Ryan and Kanchin's pace, enough to start pulling away ever so slightly, and you know, at this rate they're not going to win, but they're not fighting for the win, those at the front, as there is Marinovic and Ellis and Bard Rodkin sliding very wide in the 50.
Yeah, Rodkin holding it around the outside of Griffin's bend. He's going to be on the outside nearly for the cutting as well. Managed to just cut off Graham Ellis, who's going to have Matt Seddon right all over his tail. So these guys are fighting very, very hard, but also being very, very smart about it as well.
They have to be smart about it. They know they've got their races on the line if they're not smart about this as they descend down the hill. Now there's a lot of smoke just in front of them as they descend through this section, so they'll be a little bit cautious and mindful of that fact. Every time they go through, they know that this is not a race for the faint-hearted, and the last place you want to be seeing smoke is down the mountain. It's single file, single track all the way down through. If you have to get out of the power and try and figure out where a car is in comparison to someone else, well, that is a complete disaster. And already you can see just how well those two at the front, Kanchin and Ryan, have built a little mini gap to Glenn Wood.
Yeah, done a very, very good job over the last lap or so to build themselves a nice gap to the cars behind. Glenwood not really having anything for the two drivers ahead who are starting to check out at a decent rate of knots. He'll pretty much have lost draft touch with them as well. So Glenwood's going to decide it's time to bring it down onto lane as a result. Ooh. And he's going to get there as Norman having to go a little bit defensive from Tom Huggan.
Now this is interesting. Glenwood making that stop and very nearly butchering pit lane as well. And another driver who didn't necessarily need to make that stop. It's a case of one or. You don't need to do both. And now will bring himself a little bit further backwards in terms of the packs. There is Venables and Seeger fighting hard out there for 25th position on the road right now. They know they've got a lot of work to do as they battle out. And through the left, the final corner, they can't get much doing. And a bit of traffic there as they go through. There's your leading duo, and they're doing exactly what they need to.
Yeah, they absolutely are doing exactly what they need to. As the lapped car of, I think that was Lucas Stasi, just gets out of the way of the leaders, possibly carrying a little bit of damage there from some contact earlier on. But these guys are still just up the road fighting very, very hard. Aaron Oliver wanting to find a way on by Tom Huggan, who's managed to get on by at some point. And obviously they'll be fighting very, very hard, trying to work together as well to catch up to those at the front. I think I just saw Brad Ryan just nick the wall as well through middle. Great, so he might be carrying a little bit of damage here over the top of the mountain and for the rest of this lap.
Yeah, and the last thing you want is any damage on the car. These drivers know that they are on a fuel-safe game, and especially with the damage model. Any little nick here or there, that's going to affect the aero over the car. It doesn't seem like much with these MX-5s, but it does mean a lot. If you're scrubbing a lot of speed on the straight, then you're going to be losing a whole heap of time when it comes to sitting in your box waiting for fuel to go in, not by pump, but by jug.
Absolutely correct. There's also, oh, that was very, very loose from the 33 there over the top of the mountain. McMahon nearly ending up in the wall there and ending up with a very, very second-hand MX-5. He's going to have Moroz all over his tail as they head down the Conrod straight, and Moroz going to look to make a move. He's going to look to the inside for the kink at the chase, getting closer and closer, using that draft, pulls out, gets to the inside. Is McMahon going to do anything? No, he's just going to let him on by. A very, very smart play there.
Into the pits comes Brad Ryan from second position. That will leave Sonny Canchin on his own. So crucial stop now coming into play, and there's someone in the lane. And that there was not what was wanted there. I think that was Ray Harrison who was trying to trundle his way in. And Brad Ryan, I think, made a bit of contact as he went through. And he's got nothing to lose by making that contact there as he dived into the pits, really, Cam, because he knew he's got the fast repair. Yeah,
absolutely. He certainly has made very, very good use of that fast repair now, but it's probably not what he wanted. He got held up a little bit on the way in, and we'll see where he's going to come out in relation to Lee Harrison. It's going to be very, very close between these two, and Lee Harrison is just going to jump Brad Ryan in the end by a little bit of a margin. So it's very much in favour of Lee Harrison being the lead pit car at this stage, but still plenty of racing to go. As we see there, Glenn Wood getting a little bit crossed up on the exit of turn one, and that's going to leave him vulnerable to Venables, who's looking up the inside on the way down towards Griffin's Bend.
Those two drivers have to work together. They know that the gap is a little bit extensive at this point in time, and if anything is to go by, being out the front is not helping things like Sonny Canchin. There goes the 43 down the inside at turn 2 and comfortably gets the job done. So with that in mind, Canchin leads, Norman in second, Huggan is third, Oliver in fourth position. Then it's about a 10-second gap back to Simon Joel Smith, who is trying to deal with Ben Snell here, who's racing for that 6th position.
Yeah, he's got his hands full at the moment. He does. Snell is doing everything he possibly can to try and move on forward, but this guy's a little bit further back, also trying to get forward, but Ben Snell is sizing up Simon Joel Smith on the way down towards the elbow, and he's sizing him up for a very, very easy pass on the way down through Conroy. Gets a very, very nice run. Joel Smith doesn't know. That's going to leave Ben Snell to make the move much, much earlier than he probably would have liked, and it might actually allow Joel Smith to come back at him on the way down at Conrod straight when they get to the end of it. Joel Proctor looming in the background as well. He'll use the draft of Joel Smith to catch up to these guys. So this is about to become a 3-car battle. And you can see there Smith just slotting in behind very, very late in the straight, and he's not quite going to be able to get close enough though to get the move done. So Ben's now going to hold on to that position.
Yeah, well held. Always going to be an important battle to see there as Snell gets through one of the leading AM drivers out there. But you've got now that gap, 3.7 seconds at the front. So Norman and Huggan and Oliver, and that's trouble. That's big trouble. That's Lee Harrison, who is leading in terms of those who hadn't made a stop yet. The number 26 has been caught up and involved in an incident, and it looks like it's with Graham Ellis. So let's have a look then, coming down in towards the chase. This might just be the point where the title is won. On the brakes, gets down the inside. He's just trying to pinch across here. He's trying to take as much road as he can. He's not left himself enough for the car on the outside.
Yeah, it was looking like he could have made it just work with the overlap, but didn't quite in the end get a aerial view to see what it was like on the way down and just try. I think he thought he was going to be clear by the time he got down there, but unfortunately he wasn't, and as a result that's ended up with him with heavy front end damage in him and the wall as well. So that is very much, I'd say, going to be a massive championship changing moment, and I'd say, I hate to say it, but probably is going to give Sonny Canchin one hand on the trophy.
Absolutely, and you'd say Graham Ellis there was risking over a little bit there to the left-hand side as they were going forward. So there was always that in the back of the mind as the battles continue on here at Mount Panorama Bathurst. Kanchin, your race leader, will need to come in and make a stop, and will need to do so at some point. There is some great battling behind. Norman, Huggan, Oliver, they're all in the tank right now, so to speak here. They've just got to be patient with the way that they drive and hope that their race comes back into their hands. They've got themselves a good gap right now. They've got 27 seconds to Nick Wood, who is now the leading car of those who have pitted, to keep in mind. So they've always got that in the back of their mind if they do decide they need to make a stop.
Yeah, absolutely. They've got that in the back of their mind should they need to make one. But Tom Huggan all over the back of Ashley Norman at the moment. This is for the podium, effective podium as well, between these guys. And Aaron Oliver is all over the back of them. So this could be very, very interesting to see how this is all going to play out. Kenshin still continues to go for another lap. So Kenshin trying to leave this one as late as he possibly can. He did a 30.8 last time by. Compare that with the 31.4 and 31.5 and 31.6 from the 3 cars behind. And then you also compare that with the likes of Brad Ryan, who is going to be coming through the line this time around. We'll see what the lap time difference is, but I'd say it's going to be in favour of Kanchin, who's hit some very, very good pace over the last few laps. But these guys also side by side a little bit further back. Todd George looking up the inside, and he's going to get that move done on McMahon there. But McMahon are going to have the draft on the way up Mountain Straight. But Joel Smith and Proctor not too far up the road from George.
Well, Brad Ryan is now the leader of those who have come in and made a stop in 16th position. And that's up to 15th as Mark Foster's come into the pit. Side by side now for second just behind as Norman and Huggan go up here. And this is almost like a catch-22. You don't really want to make this pass for second position because you know you don't want to be the one running out of fuel coming towards the end of the race.
Yeah, you absolutely don't want to be running out of fuel at all coming to the end of the race. Some of these guys might have taken a little bit of splash of fuel, some might not have. So it's going to be very, very close on fuel for a lot of these drivers if they haven't taken fuel in the stop. Brad Ryan, though, not quite able to match the pace of Sonny Kanchin on that last lap, despite having a bit of draft as well. So that clean air for Sonny Kanchin really helping at the moment for him to be able to throw that car around.
Well, look at what Brad Ryan's had to get through over this lap. Rodkin, Marinovic, he's now got Seddon in front of him. And this is where it gets really, really tricky. It says bye-bye police on the back of the car. At the moment, it's bye-bye race victory, as this is the fight for 12th out there. Matt Seddon having to really be alert and down the hill. Nothing you can really do if you're Brad Ryan. You just got to sit and watch and just read the back.
Yeah, you really don't have much of an opportunity here, although he's got a nice, good run, but he's not going to be able to capitalise on it on the way down through the S's towards the elbow. He's looked up the inside, he's gone deep, but he's just going to get that move done. Ashley Norman, though, on an attack at the moment on Tom Huggan as they head down towards the chase. He's not quite going to get that done, and Huggan is going to be able to get that position off Ashley Norman, so not quite enough to get that done. But Sonny Kanchin has finally brought it down onto the lane, and it's going to be 4 laps to go. So this is going to be very, very interesting. And Ashley Norman as well. So effectively, the lead of the race is between Huggan and Aaron Oliver.
It is. They know they don't have to stop because they stopped in the opening race. So they've been alert to it. And now here's something interesting. Look how late of a call that is over those cones, trying to get it in. And I'm not sure that was fully stopped from Ashley Norman. He's got to be careful about that. And how much of a speedy, unsafe pit entry that it might be as you dive into the pit. Kanchin's going to be out and away again. He's going to leave his box. He's going to be behind Mikulev, Bull, McCulloch. He's going to be way ahead of Brad Ryan, though, and that is crucial. So Kanchin back out in 10th place. He's done a really good job with the stops.
Yeah, he certainly has timed that one very, very well and used that clean air to his advantage. So Brad Ryan not able to capitalise on that early stop at all. So he's going to be a little bit dark with himself, but still going to get at least a decent result in the second race. Nick Wood going to give the position up to Ashley Norman as well, just up in front of these two. Going to be trying to get around the outside as well as Nick Wood, but couldn't quite make it happen. So Norman going to hold on to that one.
Yeah, so the hold is there, and now you're starting to see these positions really mattering. Nick Wood looks behind, Marinovic, Rodkin, all there. The next group is coming up onto that as well. So you've got likes of Seeger, Venables, Losh, they're all there. They're all trying to move through these trains, gain those positions through their turn of pace, where some of the other drivers are going to try and stay it out, stick it out as long as they can, give themselves as much of an opportunity to score points where they wouldn't necessarily have done so earlier on this season.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be trying their best to try and make up for what's possibly happened earlier in the season with this race result and the fact of how the pit stop cycles have all panned out in the end. And this is one of those things about this sort of meeting, is it really does shake things up and really does make you think about what you do as far as strategy goes, with the fact you're going to have to make that pit stop at some point in either race. So you're going to either win in one and lose in the other, and you're not going to be able to do anything about it, but it's really spiced things up. Meanwhile, George trying to get up the inside of it. Darren Sharp propped it just up ahead, and Darren Sharp just about going to slop up the inside, and he eventually does manage to get that one done.
That's saw George losing out to Simon Joel Smith there for position, as in comes Lucas Stasi a lap down, making a stop. So Tom Huggan now has actually broken away from Aaron Oliver over that last lap. Oliver, I think, is in the fuel save mode right now. Lap 10, you don't want to be fuel saving much, but I think this is a case of must do. Seddon and White Carrick now fighting as they go in towards the chase, and there you can see Seddon just getting it out of shape, and goodbye, and there goes that opportunity for attack. But we see it all the way through the field. The likes here of Glenn Wood getting through on Dave Gogol. Every place matters, and it's being showcased right here.
Yeah, it certainly is being showcased here, is getting up on the curb a little bit there, risking it as much as he can, but didn't quite get the run that he possibly would have wanted. But up the inside is going to be McMahon on Bull, and that's going to end up being, I should say, Bull getting up the inside of it, the car behind, and it's going to be Mikulev losing a position to Bull. So Mikulev not quite able to hold on to that one, and he's got to be a little bit careful as well because of what's coming up behind him, and Baronkin having a lot happening around him as well, as there's cars everywhere.
They absolutely are, and this is what so many cars at Mount Panorama does. You don't know where to look sometimes, and at a track where sometimes it's difficult to hot lap and keep it on the road. You know, when you've got cars left, right, trying to get by you as you sort your way out, and you're maybe a bit of traffic, maybe you're struggling a little bit in terms of pace, you know, you've got to be alert to every little thing that could be happening out there on track.
Yeah, you've got to be absolutely 100% aware of what's going on around you, listening to your spotter to make sure there's no possible yellow flags up the road or any cars slow or stopped. So it's going to be all about heads-up driving. You've got to make sure that you're still focusing 100% on what's going on around you and what's happening in front of you, to make sure nothing is going to end up possibly ruining your race. But towards the front, though, it's looking like it's going to be a drag race between Sonny Canchin and also Lucas Mikulev, and in the background as well, Brad Ryan has managed to catch up to what was your former race leaders. So we thought Brad Ryan was out of this, but clearly not.
This is what happens when you get stuck behind traffic. Gaps close, and Canchin able to sight his way past the lap traffic there. Pass there for Mikulev, for position. And now against Brenton Bull, going to try and move to that outside. It's not going to work, so I'll try the inside. Make my intentions known. Deep on the brakes. Brad Ryan's trying to follow through as well. Door having to be left open and forced through with a crowbar with 2 laps to go. That's how much Brad Ryan wants to get back to Sonny Canchin here. Getting as much as they can. Gap 2 seconds it was over the line as Tom Huggan on the end of 10 has dived into the pits. So Aaron Oliver, 9 seconds over Ben Snell's got to make sure his fuel load's enough. And look at the fight that Joel Proctor's in right now. George and McMahon are all in there. Simon and Joel Smith, all 4 of them fighting right now for what is the last spot on the podium.
Yes, it's a real good scrap for the final spot on the podium at the moment, and it could go any way of these 4 as well. really is going to be a tough fight for a lot of these guys. There's a little bit of contact further back as well between McKenzie and Harrison just up the road, so they're all trying to catch up to Lee Harrison, who's trying his best, but McKenzie and Foster, two AM drivers, fighting it out for the championship side by side on the way down towards Griffin's Bend. Who is going to give, who isn't? It's going to be certainly very, very tough as Lee Harrison gets that position, and Foster going to get that one off McKenzie as well. So there's two swapping positions and putting themselves in what would effectively be their championship positions.
Yeah, so a very important change of place there for the AM category. But when you got drivers like Simon Joel Smith in the AM category in 4th position, you know, they're still going to be dropping a lot of points. And, you know, they're going through now, tacking onto the elbow. A little bit of a kick on the exit there for the 3rd in the train, Joel Proctor. And now as they chase their way forward, it's a long road to home. And it's a very, very important battle. Ben Snell trying to chase down Aaron Oliver, who leads. There will be 1 lap to go as they cross, but it's the battle for 3rd we focus.
Yeah, absolutely. The battle for 3rd is truly on. Simon Joel Smith still leads that train of cards. George just thought about a move, but didn't decide to do it, just being a little bit more patient, waiting for the final lap. Joel Proctor, though, is going to want to get a bit of a move on here in this little train. He might make a move on George on the way up Mountain Straight, so George going to have to be a little bit mindful of what's coming up behind him as well on the way up towards the top of the mountain this time around.
They certainly will. There is Kanchin, there is Brad Ryan. They're not a million miles off of that group. You can see it's about 6 seconds, 5 seconds they got to work with. There is the gap. It's now 5.6 at this point in time for Ben Snell. A 32.1 from Snell, a 36.2 from Aaron Oliver. He was trying desperately to save fuel on that last lap, and he'll be doing so again on this lap. He is deep in the tank as down the inside, the 3rd position goes Todd George. Simon Joel Smith not having any of it. He's going to fight up the hill and try and get that one back. You can see Catching in the background, and they hold position for the moment. Simon Joel Smith and Am holding on to the podium only for the moment, though.
Yeah, only just holding on to the podium for the time being, but he's going to end up getting done around the outside by Proctor and George.
He's out.
So he's going to be losing it because he's out of fuel, and I do have to wonder if Aaron Oliver is possibly out of fuel as well, because Ben Snell's catching up at an absolute rapid rate of knots, and it's going to be all on down Conrod.
Absolutely it is. You can see how much they're pushing. There's 1 car in between them at this point in time. Snell's got to get past Ray Harrison, and Ben Snell's on the radio. Please move, I need to go. And Harrison throws it in the wall. So that was always going to be concerning when you got a car trying to fight for that victory, knowing that Aaron Oliver has been pretty much nursing the fuel tank all the way towards the end of this race. Has he left himself enough? He's starting to stall out, though. 197, he's getting himself still low on the power. Snell knows he's got to get there. He's got to absolutely find it. Has Aaron Oliver left himself enough? It's 1.1 seconds. And as they hit the brakes going into the chase for the final time, we still don't know if it's going to be enough here. Snell absolutely giving everything. Cuts the gap by a 3rd. Has he left himself too little too late?
He's out.
Has Aaron Oliver got enough fuel? He's starting to stall out, though. Here comes the charge. He'll have to defend this one here at the final corner. And it's now a drive to the line. Oliver, I think, has got it. They're in the grass and spinning. And it's going to be Aaron Oliver by a 10th. By a 10th. And Ben Snell, you feel, if he didn't push it so hard, had a shot at victory.
He almost had it. If he didn't overshoot the final corner, he would have had it. But Sonny Cancher, what a drive to come from having to do that pit stop to finishing 4th. McMahon rounds out the podium after that battle. Brad Ryan not quite able to get in the top 5. What a finish between that little group, but what a finish that was for the lead.
Absolutely was. And all of that, by the way, forgets what happened in the fight for 3rd, as Brad Ryan and Sonny Kanchin found that group after being 5.5 seconds back on the last lap, and Kanchin getting 4th. Steve McMahon holding on to the podium there, Cam.
Yeah, very, very good drive from McMahon to get that one in the end. and managed to get on the podium. So very, very good result for him. And Mark Foster also going to end up finishing ahead of Neil McKenzie, his championship rival, in the AM standings. So he's going to be a happy man there, is for sure.
Yes, and that was really, really crucial. Let's get a look, though, at classified results then here from this beautiful map Panorama circuit. And Aaron Oliver having to whisper to the tank, please have enough fuel in there for me. Gets his wish, gets his reward, wins by 1/10 of a second over Ben Snell in second. Steve McMahon finishing off in third position with Sonny Kanchin there in fourth. And Joel Proctor rounding out then the top 5. Brad Ryan managed to get 6th place there. The 3rd to 6th split by just 0.6 of a second over the line, with Todd George in 7th, Ashley Norman in 8th, Tiny Venables finishing in 9th, and Brenton Bull in the end rounding out the top 10 overall.
Then you're going to have Nick Wood coming home in 11th, Damien Seagard 12th, Wayne Losh 15th, Jesse Craig not too bad of a recovery, up 10 spots to finish his 14th, with Lee Harrison after that moment ending up in the wall, brings it home just inside the top 15. Darren Sharp comes home at 16th, with Bard Rodkin 17th. Not too bad of a run for Mark Foster as well, 33rd on the grid to 18th, with Neil McKenzie finishing in behind him. Very, very important for the AMP Championship, with Glenn Wood rounding out the top 20 in the end.
Yeah, and we look further back. Matt Van Egmond, 21st, and a lot of the YAM drivers here. Caleb Patterson, Dave Gogol, Brandon McMillan there in 24th. Tony Vaselis and Graham Ellis. Ellis, of course, coming together with Lee Harrison in the mid stages of the race, and that may be the move that will be championship deciding. Moz Moroz, 27th, a weekend to forget, or a weekday to forget, some would say, with Jamie Willits, Philip Paradiso, and Lucas Michalef making 30.
And you're going to go over the page once again, and Matthew McMillan in 31st, Darren Linus 32nd, Matt Seaton, Carl Goodger, and Bennett Ferguson rounding out the top 35, with Greg Holmes being the final driver on the lead lap, and then drivers a lap down or more. Simon Smith, Tom Huggin, Adam Marinovich, and Brody Cook for the top 40.
And again, those a lap down or worse include Lucas Stasi, Terry Knowles, Anthony Connors, Wayne McCulloch, Ray Harrison, 3 laps down, struggled a lot today. And Lachlan Phillips, Shane Seddon, and Adam Sharp, tirees, as they got themselves into their relative positions. We're going to bring ourselves into play, though, with our interviews. And Cam, you're stood by with Aaron Oliver.
Yeah, certainly a very, very commanding drive. Almost lost it at the final corner, but you've at least got a win on the board.
Oh, yeah, boys, that was absolutely crazy race tonight. Yeah, honestly, I thought I was out of it on that last lap. I was coming down, I was going over the top of the mountain, and I saw that I had plenty of time, and then I saw Ben just closing in so much. I was just driving around 6th gear most of the lap, and yeah, coming down Conrad, I thought I was stuffed, so put pedal down to the metal and just bit the nail, and yeah, got her across the line coughed across the line, and yeah, I think if it wasn't for Ben dropping that wheel on their exit of the last corner, I would have been stuffed.
Yeah, it was certainly a very, very close finish in the end. Now, as far as pit strategy goes, obviously decided to pit in race 1 instead of race 2. Was the whole reason to try and get in clean air and then just try and move forward, or was it just based on more or less what you thought everybody in race 2 was going to do, maybe?
I actually didn't have a plan to pit in race 1 at all. That was my original plan. I was actually going to go the strategy of pitting during race 2, but I think it was the second lap, I was involved in a bit of a tangle up going through the cut-in, and had way too much damage, just no straight line, so I just chucked her into pit lane, and fortunately enough, over 75% of the grid pitted, and I was still at the front end of the grid, and I just knuckled down, and I was able to put the car still close to the top 10, and that really set me up well for that last race. And yeah, just from there, it was a matter of just saving fuel, knowing that I've already done my pit stop for the night.
Yeah, certainly, and very, very good result in the end to bring it home with not only 11th, but also a first place finish. Now, obviously, not too much left in the season. Is it going to be all about just trying to maximize points at this stage to try and move yourself up in the standings from here on out, or are you just going to go try and win all the races possible?
Well, we're not really in the championship after last week. Unfortunately, we had a bit of a power outage, so we jumped in this sim for qualifying and that, and I got chucked out by the power outage. So I'm out of the championship for this season, that's for sure. So yeah, it's basically just going to be trying to recover some points for the team's championship and get as many results on the board as possible.
Well, nevertheless, hopefully going to be positive results heading on forward for the rest of the season. Thanks and shout outs. You want to give it real quick?
Yeah, certainly. Can't do it without the boys from Penrod Oil, Joe Marana from Harcourt's Real Estate, Motivate Training, Evolution Crash Repairs, Repco Australia, MB World Engineering Co, Revolution Race Gear, Living the Dream Australia, and Murraybridge Batteries, Mish's XL Garage, Open Pit Lane, Extreme Air Conditioning, and yeah, you guys for putting on the killer stream. Cheers, boys.
Thank you very much, Aaron, and all the best for the rest of the season. Now, I believe you are going to be standing by with the man who almost won race 2, Ben Snelsberry.
Ben, you must have had eyes bigger than the belly there going towards the end. You chased down a gap which looked pretty much impossible with 2 laps to go. But talk us through that final section of the lap, because the moment that you had that chance, it just looked like that final corner was just that slightly bit too aggressive.
Yeah. How you going, Jake? It's just I knew that I had to throw everything at it, and Aaron did a great job just putting the car in the right spot that I couldn't send it down the inside, even though he was coughing. So I tried to go around the outside. There wasn't really any space for me outside. I tried to carry the speed and just got a wheel on the grass. Thankfully, I didn't bin it on the line because with my luck in this series, that really could have happened, and I could have done a Russell Clark and been stuck on the line with a broken car and finished last. So I'm happy to finish second. Honestly, from starting at the back of the first race and then trying to work my way through, I'm really happy with the result.
Well, you could be happy with the result, especially after what happened in race 1, where you had to make an extra stop in comparison to what you would traditionally have had to have done. Let's talk about luck, really, in terms of this series. We saw it last season with you. We've seen it this season as well. What's it been here with this MX-5 that has got you into the wrong position at the wrong time constantly?
Oh, I don't know, man. If I find out, I'll be really happy because I'm starting to get a bit over it, to be perfectly honest. And to have a result now kind of, puts me back in better spirits. But I just don't know. I have pace. I generally end up in the right area, and then just either I bin it because I've done something stupid, or I put the car in a stupid position, like I did in race 1, where I harassed a rookie driver that was a lap down. Instead of just going, hang on a minute, I should probably just back off and, lose the little bit of time and fight to live another day instead of binning my car. But, it's just me just making sure I try and stay in that right headspace and not let the little things get to me, I guess.
And the little things add up, don't they? And I'm sure we'll be seeing that. Hopefully we'll be seeing you then for what is effectively the final round of the championship, yes?
Yeah, hopefully I should be there. Although last time we were at Red Bull Ring, I didn't really have a good time either. So I got killed by my teammate. That was pretty good. So hopefully, and it wasn't Russell; it was my other teammate. So we'll be there hopefully, and try and have a decent race again.
Oh, the other teammate, of course. If it's not
Yeah.
one, it's the other. But
Yeah.
before we let you go, shout out sponsors. Who gets it done for you at Team Perhaps?
Shout out to you guys for putting on the broadcast. It's always good to have a watch. And to Greg, Lee, and all the guys behind the scenes here at Simworx, the series here, the Roadster Rumble, for putting on. It's still enjoyable. I die all the time, but I'm still having fun because there's just so many cars and there's so much going on that you never really end up by yourself. So there's always something to do. And of course, shout out to Brody and the settings that have jumped in. So we've got some local guys having a crack at it as well. And shout out to everybody that watched on Twitch tonight. And you can follow too at twitch.tv/Snellervision. Come say hello.
Hey, look at that. Self-promotion. Ben Snell there joining us, having a whole heap of fun for it there with a bit of action. Lee Harrison now joins in and is stood by with Cam after what was an up and down day.
Yeah, certainly not going to be too particularly helpful to the championship, especially after race 2, but still not too bad of a result in race 1.
Yeah, race 1 was good and nice and fun with that epic fuel saving that we had to do there. But yeah, I think I Have to apologise to Graham Ellis there for race 2 in the chase. I think I drifted across under brakes more than I needed to, and netcode got the better of us, unfortunately. But hey, look, them's the breaks. We had one really good race. Sonny didn't have the best of nights, so it's not all doom and gloom. And we'll bounce back from here. The pace was still really good, and we were fighting for the front. And I think we were on definitely for a super strong result in race 2 there until I made that blue. So look, like I said, plenty of positives to take out of the night, and I'm not going to spend too much time worrying about the unfortunate result in race 2 there.
Yeah, absolutely. All eyes forward from this point. Well, as far as now, pit stops were a little bit different. Obviously, everybody chose to do different strategies. You decided to pit in between what everybody else did earlier on, I should say, in race 2. Was it always your intention to pit in race 2 and sort of follow what the leaders around you were doing after the fact they didn't pit in race 1, or was it just try and work around what might or might not happen?
Look, race 1 was really tricky. I wasn't 100% sure what the 3 or 4 guys in front of me were going to do. And then once it became clear that they were pushing on, I was quite confident that I was saving more than enough fuel to make it to the end. And I was, like I said, quite confident that they were going to struggle on the last lap. So race 1, I thought about pitting, and then chose against it, thinking I was a pretty strong chance at the win there. And then race 2, it was always for me pit end of lap 1. I built about a second of a gap over the top of the mountain. So for me, I was always pitting. Tane decided to follow me in, and then unfortunately, I think he had a bit of a mistake on the out lap. But pitting lap 1, you get out there, you get loads of clear air. You don't come back out in traffic and get in the fight. So I was able just to throw down some fast and consistent laps. And yeah, like I said before, I think we were looking pretty strong at the moment of the incident in race 2 there. I was probably 4 seconds behind Ben, 4 or 5 seconds behind Ben Snell, and he almost ended up going on to win the race, and I was pushing. So I think we would have caught him, so we were looking good for a podium. So the pit strategy worked out perfectly tonight, but like I said, just made an unfortunate error, but we'll regroup and go again.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, Red Bull Ring next week with the final round for the championship. Obviously, going to be a bit of a hard task to try and catch Sonny in the championship. Have to have a really bad night, more than likely. But thoughts and looking forward to it at all?
I think we're using the shorter loop at Red Bull Ring 2, so the North Circuit, I think it is. So we'll turn hard right halfway up the second straight and then loop back into the arena section there. So that should be a fun challenge for everyone. Yes, Sonny's got a good lead on us now. It's going to take a bit of a miracle over the next 3 to 4 rounds to come back at him from here. But never say never. It only takes one bad round and we're back into it, or he has a connection issue or something like that. So it's not over until the fat lady sings, and we've still got plenty of room to catch back up in this championship. We're not more than a round away yet, so still keep fighting and we'll push on.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, before we let you go, just any thanks and any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, as always, I'll run through the sponsors. Simworx simulators, awesome bits of kit. Love what they do. Love their assistance to this series, and the fact that they keep supporting us the whole way through has been awesome to have them on board. Wolfchester Automotive Consumables and Duo Trading. Again, those guys support us through thick and thin, and they're always throwing up their own practice sessions out of their own back pocket as well. So we can't appreciate the support from those guys enough. AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes Construction, Rinaldi, Automotive Towing, Phoenix Smokers, and you guys know my favorite coconut-scented skincare products, Palmer's Australia, for their ongoing support as well. So, again, we can't do it without you guys. Sperry, you wake up at God knows what time in the morning to jump on and commentate for us. So we appreciate the effort that goes into it behind the scenes from you guys at SimSpeed, and we always look forward to rewatching the broadcasts after we're done racing here.
Well, Lee, all the best for the final round, and hopefully we get to talk to you again next week, and hopefully it's at least a win and maybe a championship. We'll have to wait and see.
All right, guys, let's bring on Red Bull Ring and a week to regroup and go again. So we'll speak to you guys next week, and until then, have a good one.
Well, Spirit,
let's jump over each other, shall we? There we do have it there. Lee Harrison, who jumped into play, gave himself everything there in that second race. Unfortunately, it didn't quite fall the way it needed to. That, though, has been it for us here at Mount Panorama and the Simworx Roadster Rumble. Big thanks, of course, to all the sponsors, AMD Freight, KP Tech, Haynes, the likes of Ronaldo and Co. All there. Red Bull Ring is our next port of call. You can see the steel ball rampaging around this circuit, and this rampage is going to be key. Same time, same place. You want to jump in, you want to get yourself into play, you want to get yourself involved. SimSpeed is the place there, of course. The likes of Palmer's, Automotive Towing, Phoenix Smokers, Duo Trading, Wolfchester, and Simworx, of course, who have been all there as the sponsors for this stream, as well as, of course, the Virtual Racing School sponsors the replays, of course, this year of 2021. But on top of that, from Scott Fountain on the cameras, from Cam Dance alongside me, my name's been Jake Sperry. Sonny's got a hand on that title, you know. He's been nigh on unstoppable. And on a day in which, you know, people are saying it's not over, we've still got a chance, it's still a very, very insurmountable gap to try and get back to. And when you've got a driver that is as consistent, knows how to put great results on the table, very seldomly puts a foot wrong, how do you plan on stopping him on the final race of the championship? This is the track where you need to go to. Spielberg awaits, and it'll be Austria, which calls the home for the Simworx Roadster Rumble.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got rid of the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my god! Oh! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are going to want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?
Are you new to sim racing, or maybe a veteran struggling to reach the next level? Have you ever wondered how the aliens reach impressive lap times that seem impossible to achieve? If so, you're not alone. Most drivers reach a certain level and get stuck. But getting faster on track is easier than you think. VRS coaches are some of the best sim racers in the world and offer one-on-one driver skills training at affordable rates to help new drivers learn the basics and help experienced drivers break through to the next level. Are you ready to get faster and get off the iRacing roller coaster? If so, VRS one-on-one personal training is for you. If you've invested in your equipment, it might be time to invest in yourself. Just go to virtualracingschool.com and sign up for a 30, 60 or 90-minute session with one of our world-class coaches, and you'll learn exactly what to do for faster lap times and more podiums.